Hello, everyone. I am Jensen Beal of Asphalt and Rubber, and I want to welcome you to our weekend live stream here on YouTube. We are very lucky to have joining us today Timur Sardarov, the president and CEO of MV Agusta. Timur, thank you very much for being on this webcast with me.
Hi there.
I think just straight off the bat, Timur, I want to ask you about how the COVID-19 outbreak has affected MV Agusta and what's going on there in Europe.
We started feeling effect of disruption on the supply chain from the end of January, and all the way through the February. We kind of started feeling effect of lockdown in China because about 20% of our suppliers are based in Far East. And from the middle of February, we started already implementing the safety measures because Italy reported the first coronaviruses in the north. So we started measuring the temperature, and we provided all the workers masks. And then while the situation developed, we followed the government regulations, and we were okay. So, only a few people in our company got the coronavirus, and they're fine. And we started feeling like everyone else, but it started gradually. So we prepared ourselves, and by the middle of March, the company went into a bit of protecting itself. So we stopped the payments to everything, to everyone, to all the partners and all of the suppliers, and we kind of started to keep everything in, especially all the cash, just to make sure that our operations are safe and our workers and our employees are safe. And from 25th of March, the government officially announced the national lockdown, and we stopped the production and moved part of the company into smart working. And I hope on the 4th of May, as official date, we will be able to resume our production. As you understand that, many countries, we have very complicated supply chain we have suppliers from United States to China, a lot of European suppliers, mainly Italian suppliers. And we hope that by July, end of June, we'll be able to stabilize production.
What is
Right.
Sorry,
But
go ahead.
the main issue is that the problems are a part of economical problems that happens and the health problems. If you just talk about the business, the complications right now on both sides, on the supply chain and also on the delivery, because mainly in a lot of countries where we are present, that dealers are closed, the borders are closed, so you cannot ship, you cannot deliver, and so it's a constantly evolving situation, like at any business right now, locally or international. So
Sure. How does that affect your outlook for the rest of the year and maybe even into 2021? It's obviously going to be a big disruption, but is this, something that's going to feel ripples into the future for years to come, or is it more short term?
um, depends. I'm more optimist. I believe that our industry, the two-wheel mobility industry, are not going to be so disrupted because we provide a mobility solution. Even if we're a premium mobility solution, we're still mobility solution. And I'm a believer in the two-wheel mobility. So anything to do with two wheels will bounce back much quicker than everything else. Obviously, it depends on the well-being of our clients and our customers, or potential customers. And but I believe that two-wheel mobility will continue growing even through this crisis. So of course, there's going to be a dip, and especially it's going to be deep with major manufacturers that produce millions or hundreds of thousands of products. We're a niche producer, so this year we'll produce 5,000 bikes, and we are not going to reduce amount of bikes that we're going to produce.
Hmm.
So instead, we will focus on developing the network further, because right now MV Agusta for the new dealers become more interesting choice rather than to continue um, representing the more mass market brands, because mass market brands are overproducing and overproduced, and even if many of them will reduce by 20 to 30%, it will it will bring with overproducing devaluation of stock. And Via Augusta is a small manufacturer, so we hope to continue producing, and we're going to put more effort into the network development and improving our service to make sure that we are not hit so much, because we don't have any share of the market yet, and like other brands do, we're small. So that's why I'm using this crisis, like every other entrepreneur and businessman should do, as opportunity.
Hmm.
Opportunity to grow, opportunity to develop more partners, and also introduce the new way to sell your product and for your clients to interact with the company in a different way. And that's our advantage, because we are flexible. We're much more flexible than any other manufacturer in the world. So, and that's what we are working on. And that's the last month we've been doing, is to pivoting our processes to fit the new reality.
I see a good question here from Will Ashmore in the chat. Enviagos is a premium brand. It's a luxury brand. Do you think that helps you or hurts you going into the coming economy?
you know, it's hard to answer this question, because a lot of people right now are losing a job, and their livelihood and their spending power are falling down. But again, if we were producing 10 times or 5 times even more than we were right now, for us would be a major worry, like for other competitors right now. But 5,000 bikes, it's not a lot. So we're introducing better terms for our dealers. We're introducing the financial options for our for our clients. So of course, it's it's a worry, but I believe that the potential of MV Agusta and the performance of the brand after the crisis that the brand went through before the coronavirus, we will be able to perform. Right now, we don't feel the network is disruption and reducing numbers, but for sure we have to adapt to the new reality, and we will be able to provide the financial instruments for people, for the customers to still engage with the brand.
I like what you said earlier about how this is an opportunity for a small brand, because I look at it the same way for my own business, where this is a moment in time that disrupts a lot of the industry. It's a chance to take some risks. It's a chance to find some opportunities that maybe you wouldn't have before. I'm wondering if you've been able to leverage the position that other brands are in that maybe wouldn't have done business with you before, or opportunities that wouldn't have presented themselves to MV Agusta before, if those are available to you now, and if that's changed your business plan a little bit in the direction you want to take MV Agusta, or
Right now,
Kajiva for that matter too.
right now, other brands will have a very hard time to develop the business further. For example, to grow the network. For the major brands right now to continue growing their presence and the penetration through different countries are very, very hard. Because, for example, if there is any brand have 5 dealers in the area, they wouldn't go for the 6th dealer.
Sure.
because this 5 dealer right now will have to deal with depreciating stock, with second-hand market exploding. So MV Agusta becoming way more interesting for any business, for the dealer as our partner, to look at us and say, you know what, it's interesting to look at MV Agusta because MV Agusta doesn't have such a second-hand market. It doesn't have so much bikes on the market. So it's interesting for them to become our partner rather than to go with a traditional brand or much bigger brand. Because again, you know, this crisis will go, I believe, for the next at least 18 months until the society will not going to have something, a vaccine or many different vaccines, and it's going to be comfortable, and you know, we will be able to protect ourselves, our elderly, our parents, our grandparents. So this will continue. So we right now need to develop the network and in a much better way, and way more aggressive way to be able to be stable. So this is our advantage to everyone else.
Describe to me what MV Agusta looks like once business is back to normal. You know, what kind of volume are you targeting? What models do you want to be making? What segments do you want to be in? What do you do with Kajiva?
We are right now, we kind of in full throttle of producing the new Brutale 1000 RR. We continue producing our traditional range. From new products, we have Super Veloce coming up. So it's our new retro style super bike, and we're starting in May. We already produced first bunch of it, and we're gonna be producing close to 1,000 of them this year. Then we're also starting production of Rush, our top of the range bike that your viewers probably aware of. And we continue doing the R&D efforts that we were not cutting on R&D. We are introducing the new Euro 5 range. That all the models are going to become Euro 5 from the end of this year. We continue developing 5 new products. You know, 3 of them below 800 cc. We continue to develop our new 950 range, and we are bringing new mobility solutions. This is the new business that we had to expedite through this crisis, because we believe that right now the motorcycle company, in terms of the products, are not enough. We need to fit the new reality. So we need to provide more mobility solutions with our brand. So we will produce bicycles. We're going to produce electric scooters. And that's all our fans and our followers will see by the end of the year already.
Oh, wow. That mobility range, will that be branded MV Agusta, or will that be branded Kajiva, or that something else?
Yes, it will be branded in MV Agusta. Kajiva is also in development, and but Kajiva is in development not about just mobility solutions like what we do, not bicycles and scooters, but much more urban commuter, electric powered or propelled commuter, and also we are building the delivery system for all of the delivery aggregators and restaurants, and supermarkets, and things like that. So we're pivoting right now to new reality.
So you said you'd have 3 models that are sub 500. I assume this is the 350 range that you're talking about.
It's a 350, it's 500, and from between 500 and 600. Yeah.
Oh, wow. Can you give us any more insight on that?
I would love you to see it. It's not so long that you will see it, but as soon as I can, I will be able to share more ideas. But you'll be very excited.
Sure. How do you balance, when you build bikes in that category and in those segments, how do you balance that against the branding of MV Agusta as a premium brand? How does that kind of teeter-totter work?
MV Agusta it's quite an it's very interesting brand and its history, and it's always in its past or in its modern history, because Via Agusta history before 1970 and middle of 90s are two different Via Agustas. So if you take the modern Via Agusta, it's never positioned itself against any competitors. And that was the blessing and the curse at the same time. Because when the world changed, Via Agusta failed to realize that you need to compete with someone. You need to compete on prices, you need to compete on the product, you need to compete on the performance. And that was the the result of this action was that the company almost went bankrupt 4 years ago, 3 years ago. So right now we identified what we need to compete against. So we have a cluster of brands that we compete against, and all the future development will be in the competition of that brands. Because it's important in the modern world to understand exactly what you are and what you're fighting against, because you cannot be just crazy. Like Via Agusta did so many new things, you know, from electronic shifter to weight to power ratio to a lot of technologies that nobody ever nobody developed before us. You know, categories like hyper naked. We are the one that the first that we did it. Dragster is the category of itself. Um, I'm not talking about F4 and Brutali in the past, but Super Veloce, Rush. So everything we do, it's a game changer. We're opening the new segment of the market. But it's important that we do this thoughtfully. Important that we do it in understanding what this segment will fight against. And it took me a year to make sure with our all new management, to make sure that we took all of this craziness of the brand and put it rationally for the next 5 years to perform an action plan to perform it to its best. Because Via Agusta deserves to be a serious player in the motorcycle industry. It doesn't deserve to be niche. It doesn't deserve to be this very small, you know, crazy manufacturer that somebody says we have unreliable product with a bad service. It deserves to be among the best. You know, and that's what my job is, to make sure this brand is strong, to make sure this brand is current, and it understands the customer, and it knows how to fight the competitors.
When you say you want to be beyond like a niche brand, though, I assume you have to build more units per year, because last time you and I talked, the goal was under 10,000 units. Is that changing?
We don't have any problem with the capacity. Our current our plant in Skirana can build between 15 and 20,000 bikes, you know, and then we don't have a problem with expanding it, you know. So when we see that this is the trend is up, we will develop the facilities better, and we adapt ourselves. We don't have problem with producing. Right now, the most important is the network. The most important is the quality, and 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 the business. So production is not, it's not an issue.
That kind of leads me to maybe the question I hear the most when I talk to Americans about MV Agusta, and I see even Josh Marsh in the comments brought it up, and I saw a couple on my website as well. How are you going to bring MV Agusta back into the US, address the issues that the company has had here in this market, and then regain the, let's say, the trust of consumers like myself even? How are you going to convince me to buy an MV Agusta in the next couple of years?
MV Agusta, before my arrival into it, was very arrogant brand, and I don't like it. You know, I believe that, you know, that the client is the most important. I believe that any brand has to stay humble. I believe that the ethos of the companies need to be, it's all about servicing the purpose. And as many Italian brands, and Via Agusta fell into the very arrogant attitude. Here is the bike, and I don't care what happened after. we make you a favor to sell our bike to you. And that's felt all the way. And the worst was the countries that was represented by distributor, not by us ourselves. So we behaved like this to the client around the company that 10 kilometers away. Could you imagine how we behave to the client in America? You probably know, or probably our US customer know as well. And this is terrible, disgusting. And the first what we did is we purchased back our distributor. So I changed 100% the old management team. And we right now are stabilizing an existing network and make sure that we provide the best support to the network that we have right now. And then we slowly will develop the new dealers. We're going to put the programs for our customers and the basic things like if you buy our bike, first, we supply you parts if you need it very quickly. We make sure that if you are in trouble, the company reacts very quickly. So, we can, and we introduce all of the different measures like chats. You can reach out us. If you have any problem, you can reach out the company straight away and we will fix it at any cost. Because you are our client, and we will take care of you anywhere. And we slowly will build the trust, and because the volumes for us right now are not important. For us, important is loyalty. For us, important is serviceability. And while the quality of the product is improving, is much better than it was 4 or even 3 or even 2 years ago. We're constantly improving the quality, and my strategy is very simple. You bring the best people and you give them freedom to perform. And we improving it by changing some of the individuals that work for MV Agusta, and the most important, making sure that the client is happy. So right now we're in control of all the US market. So, and we are reacting on every request immediately. So MV Agusta is back to US.
Do you think with the way, I'm just thinking down the line, looking at the coronavirus outbreak and the issues that dealers have, I feel like dealers in the United States are going to be your biggest issue, because those are the ones that have had the most direct contact with the factory and getting bikes and getting parts, and then also dealing with the customers when they're angry. Is this an opportunity now with the way the coronavirus is and the hardships that dealers are facing for you to make inroads into these dealers, or do you have to sweeten the pot a little bit?
I went to US a few times, and I went even incognito into many of our dealers.
Huh.
And none of them are representing MV Agusta to the way that MV Agusta should be represented. None of them. And that's not their fault. It's the fault of the distributor that owned this business for 3 years before we took over. And in the middle and beginning of January, I held a meeting with all of the US dealers, on which I announced that there is new management. I basically made all the presentation about the product, the model of the company, what we need to do, and the rules right now are being implemented for the dealers to represent us to the way we deserve. MV Agusta is not a brand that can be dropped into the multi-brand dealer, one of the bikes, with other brands and forgotten. MV Agusta has to be positioned and has to be presented to the client in a very different way. We have one of the most incredible histories. We are very special. The way we do things are very different. The way we develop things are very different. And this is the thing we need to show to the client. We are not robotics. We are not this kind of industrial big companies like all our most of our competitors are. It's just a soulless transactional tool provider. We build things differently. And that's what we need to show to the client. And none of the US dealers know how to do it. None of them, zero. And by the way, many of them in Germany cannot do it, in France cannot do it, and Italy cannot do it. And this is our fault. We didn't provide a system for the dealers to sell us the way we should be sold. And that's what we have to work on. And US, it's the furthest market from us. And I really hope that our team, and that I'm watching on a daily basis how they do things, will be able to do that. So we have a lot of work ahead of us, but we're smart, we are flexible, we are not bureaucratic, and we're entrepreneurial. So we'll be able to do it much quicker than everyone else could.
When you say that MV Agusta isn't being represented properly at the dealership, is that because of just issues inherent in the dealership model that we have in the motorcycle industry, and that needs to be addressed, or is it specifically they do it with other brands but just not with MV Agusta?
Listen, the representation of the brand is a process. It's a process that comes from simple things like dealer identity to the way that that the brand can tell the story through its representative. Because it's a story, and that's what we're buying in. We're buying into the story. We're not just buying into the product anymore. Nobody cares about it. You need to buy into the ethos of the business. You need to buy the story of the business. And if you are not presenting the story in the correct way, your opportunities are very, very limited. And other brands manage to do it. Harley Davidson managed to do it, Ducati managed to do it, BMW managed to do it, KTM managed to do it. Everyone are managing to do it. But MV Agusta not. MV Agusta got used to just drop the product, wherever it is. And if the client really likes it, or he hears this amazing brand, MV Agusta, he interacts or buy it. But this is not business. This is like a hustling. This is not correct. We're not garage in the end of the day. So this is the crazy thing that the management before me allowed this to happen. That's fucking crazy. So we need to put this story. We need to put the consistent communication to our partners, that our dealer is our crucial partner, that represents us, our window. So the dealer need to know exactly what we do, need to be updated on a daily basis, need to present us, need to protect us, need to guide us, need to tell us information about what's going on around his community that he serves. But if you don't get this response, and the only thing we get is that somebody has a broken part, and the dealer doesn't serve him because dealer says, I don't know when this part is coming. It's terrible. And this is what we're changing. And the dealers that will remain will have to follow us, or we're going to have to cancel them and we'll appoint new one.
I see my friend Shaheen from Brapping.com is in the chat asking about corporate identity. And I'm wondering, is there a brand outside the motorcycle industry that you would want to emulate, or do you think is providing the experience to customers that you want to see MV provide to its customers through its dealerships?
There's other brands outside of MV.
I'm just wondering if there's like an analogous brand outside of the motorcycle industry that you want to emulate their customer experience, or how their dealerships should feel, your dealership should feel like, I don't know, like,
Porsche.
is it the Ritz-Carlton? Is it Apple? Is it Nike?
Porsche, Nike, Apple. From automotive, I would say Porsche is the most incredible and the most professional representation there.
Why do you say that?
Porsche. Because the way they look, because the way personnel are trained, because their approach. Porsche is a number one, I would say, dealer business in the world in terms of professionalism, look, and passing experience of the brand. When you walk into the Porsche dealership, you walk into the world of Porsche. And I could have said the same with Ferrari or Lamborghini or Audi, but Porsche is more tuned to us. It's a premium brand that are premium in the different segments. It's not only premium by price, it's premium in a different segment of where it's present. and it sells 270,000 premium cars.
And it's very sporty.
Yeah, Ferrari sells 10,000 cars. Aston Martin sell about maybe 7, maybe 10,000 cars. So premium brand in terms of premium and the good representation, I would say Porsche is number one.
How does Kajiva fit into all of this? I feel like it's the little red stepchild of MV Agusta right now.
Kajiva, I would like to Kajiva to become an urban mobility brand. But the urban mobility, what we thought 2 years ago, what we thought a year ago, right now is becoming different. It's constantly evolving. And I really don't want to bring back the brand just producing another product that right now market is flooded with. We need to bring something special. So that's why the platform that we right now developed, it's 2 platforms. One is for the professional use, and the second one is more the commuter. I will be very different from everyone else. And I'm really keen for you guys to, when you see it, to tell what you think, because you will be surprised.
Will this be gas and electric, or just electric?
Electric.
What about MV? Will MV ever be electric as well? But for let's not make that like an infinite timeline. Let's say in the next 5 to 10 years, will we see an electric MV?
Listen, we are small business, relatively we're small business. And right now, I don't know any successful European or American company that made even cars, electric cars, profitable. So the bikes are way behind the cars with the technology, with the cost. So I cannot afford and I cannot let down our customers in MV and the fans of MV that want to buy our brand to put the company at risk and to produce something that are not going to make money. I'm sorry, this is the reality of the MV. MV did a lot of things that made the company losing money for many, many years. The company never made money in 20 years of a modern history. It just didn't. More 25 years of modern history. Never. Every single year, the company went in black.
Right.
So it's important if our fans and our customers, our followers love the brand, we have to produce something that makes sense. And we need to be very careful with this public opinion, with the technologies and this kind of electric, not electric. There are no motorcycle brands outside of China that making a profitable electric product. There's none. Everyone losing money on it. So we believe that between 5, 7, and 10, between 5 and 10 years, yes, we will see something electric from MV Agusta. But I do not think it's smart idea to sacrifice a craftsmanship, a feel, just for the sake of have a battery and electric engine. Right now, most of the electric bikes are dull. You have a frame, you have a battery, you have a spinning engine. Where is the craftsmanship? What is special about it? Just a brand? Really? This is all you can get? It doesn't have a special sound. It doesn't have a special feel, and even the engine is a round thing with a spin. I mean, come on, just this is what we're getting with the mobility, just a soulless transactional or method of transportation. Why? When we write something, we feel something. And I think if it's not a commuting that you after, but you after having an experience of being free, you need to ride on some mobility solution that gives you the emotion. And emotion does not stop with the amount of torque. Emotion is everything, is a chassis, is vibrations. And until the technology is there that we can successfully and profitably put it to work, I'm sorry, I don't want to produce a fridge with two wheels. I'm sorry, it's crazy. It's, you know, I know everyone is talking because it's a hot topic, but it is a fridge. You know, the companies right now putting expensive battery, expensive engine, but very cheap everything outside because they cannot afford to compete. How come? Why? For which reason? Motorcycles are very, right now modern motorcycles are extremely ecologically friendly. They don't pollute much. With the new Euro 5 from next year, they pollute twice less than they pollute right now. So until we'll be able successfully to put, you know, to pass the experience, to pass the feel of, you know, chassis dynamics, you know, the geometry, the craftsmanship, you know, and to create something special in the electric propulsion space, we're not going to go there.
I don't know if this will be the first year, but it's certainly interesting that coming up, we no longer have the F4. We no longer have a superbike in the MV Agusta lineup. When will we see that happen again? I know the four-cylinder platform can only have so much life as we go into Euro 5, but will we see a return of an MV superbike?
Right now, we have two platforms, 800, we have 675, we have 800, we have 1000. We are right now finishing the development of our new 950, three-cylinder inline. And this is going to be the most advanced three-cylinder engine in the world. There's no one else doing anything even close to this. Our 1000 inline 4 is a traditional engine that evolved from F4. Even if that it got close to 70% changes, it's still an evolvement. Through the crisis, MV Agusta lost the time to develop something completely new on the superbike space. And for us, while we can bring with this four-cylinder, we can bring a naked, we can bring different variations of the naked bike. You know, when you go into superbike category, you need to have really very strong product. You cannot, because it's become a competitive space, you have a lot of great products out there, from Japanese bikes to Italian. So do we have the plan to develop the new four-cylinder? No, right now we don't. We will go more into the evolution of the current three cylinders. That's a very DNA of MV Agusta. And then we will bring the technologies that will make three-cylinder perform like four-cylinder in a different way. But I believe that right now it's not, because look at the cars. A lot of cars went, you know, big cylinders, a lot of a big volume of engine, big, you know, a lot of cylinders, and now they go down more towards newer engines. Look at the engine that right now Koenigsegg brought. It's a three-cylinder engine, gives 600 horsepower. You know, with the new GT car that it's just did. It's amazing. Mm-hmm. You know, so you don't need to have, and this is 1.6 or 1.8 liter. 600 horsepower of three-cylinder engine. So, you know, I would rather us go towards making the, you know, smaller propulsion unit, but with a bigger output, with a better rideability, rather than just go out of volumes and the amount of cylinders and get ourselves heavier, hotter. You know, don't forget, you know, four-cylinder engine is producing a lot of heat. There's a lot of complaints with the latest four-cylinder engines that some of our competitors bring with the heat. We managed to keep it under control. And I'm looking forward right now. A lot of journalists are getting hands on the Brutale. Did you ride Brutale?
No, not
Well,
yet.
you will love it.
Yeah, I'm looking
It's a
forward to it.
bike.
You can't tell me that you're going to come out with the most advanced 3-cylinder engine in the industry and not give me some details. Give me something here. Give me a scoop. Come on, I got to do my job.
Um, we're bringing in the new 950 platform. The engine will be, I will give you, will be between 160 and 180 horsepower.
Okay. And then
And
what?
there are no 950s in the world with that type of power. So, and it's going to be smart. It's going to be ecologically friendly. It's going to be very torquey. And there's going to be a lot of surprising products that will be based on these platforms.
Give me an example of what kind of bikes can you put that in?
No, it's going to be all nakeds. We will bring 950 Super Sport for sure. And there's one product that I cannot say what it is, but it's going to be very much surprising.
Any plans for like a full fairing, sport bike? Like obviously not a super bike, but something along that vein for guys that want more body work.
New, new 950,
Okay. Okay.
very light and a very advanced 950 full fairing bike coming up.
I want to dive back into the chat. Keep them coming, guys. Um, Talk to me about the transition of MV Agusta from the Castiglione family into your hands, because that's obviously. I mean, truthfully, I think we're going to look back on it as kind of a moment in time for the company and for the brand.
Um, Listen, it was a very peaceful transition. Uh, the Castiglione family resurrected this brand, and everyone should be grateful to do so. The way the brand went and been managed can be questioned, but in the end of the day, it survived. So because Harley couldn't make it work, partnership with AMG couldn't make it work, and right now, again, Via Agusta is the first time Via Agusta can count on itself. So it doesn't have anyone to execute its ideas. And Via Agusta first time, and the way I did it, the plan that we announced a few months ago about the 25,000 bikes a year within the 5 years, this plan was not created by me. It was created by the company. It was created by every single employee and worker in the company. It's the first time Via Agusta did something by itself. The model range, the marketing, the approach, the development was all done and consulted with every single employee, presented, argued, and agreed. So, and that's what make it real. And the transition from Castiglione was very peaceful. I met Giovanni about 4 years ago. Less than 3 years ago, we kind of did the deal. I became minority shareholder, and then the company needed more capital, so I became bigger shareholder, and then we bought him out. That's all. It's very, very, very really normal. And again, we in a good relationship, everything is great. But right now is a new era for me.
One of the things I always thought was interesting is Giovanni, yourself, and even I, we're of a different generation of motorcyclists. We're kind of this younger crowd that's not a part of the boomer generation, and I feel like that gives us an advantage going forward into the motorcycle industry, because truthfully, the future of this motorcycle industry is going to have to be built on the backs of customers like us and generations that are younger than us, because the older generations are going away. So what's your strategy to reach those buyers? How are you going to make me an MV Agusta buyer? How are you going to make someone younger than me an MV Agusta buyer?
This is a very interesting question. Most of motorcycle brands, especially premium one, they missed out on understanding millennials like us. They when either too male focused, or older generation. And I think, my job is to make sure that MV is current to my generation, because generation between 30 and 50 is the focus for the MV Agusta. And how I will make it sure is, first, make MV accessible, uh, make MV easier to ride, because our generation do not want to have complications. Most of our generation do not know how to drive manual gearbox already. You know, I drive manual gearbox. I love manual gearbox, but many of us don't. Many of us in our generation seen a lot of a lot of videos on YouTube how people crash. So they want to feel safe. We want to say that 110, 150, or 200 horsepower are not dangerous. A lot of people do have that stigma still. A lot of riders do have that stigma. That more horsepower, more uncontrollable the bike is. It's not true. Cars manage to do it. Right now, you buy expensive, you're buying R8, Audi. You cannot crash this car. The car have 6 or 7 horsepower, but it's fully safe. So this same message needs to be passed through bikes too, that the power of the bike does not mean the bike is dangerous. And this is a very important message that all of the high performance brands are failing to do, all of them. And this is where they're completely failing, because everyone talks about the power, everyone talks about performance and wheelie and things like that, and the reckless driving, but this is not what millennials want. Millennials want to have power, but they want to have manageable power. And that's what we are right now doing in the evolution of our products, in evolution of our electronics, and evolution of our messaging. So easy to ride performance bike. This is the MV Agusta focus.
I see Miles bringing it up, and I saw a couple others mention this in social media. We saw the ad campaign for the Super Veloce last year that was, let's say, very racy, and myself and others criticized MV Agusta for that ad because it has potential to turn away female buyers. And if we want to be honest, if you want to double sales in the motorcycle industry, getting women on bikes is a great way to do that. So how do you reconcile that, marketing campaign with your goals that you set here?
So MV Agusta has a slogan. It's called motorcycle art. A lot of things we do very artistically and unconventional. And the Super Veloci campaign was not an ad, was creative concept of a director of this video who decided to do it this way, and we decided to follow it up. And when you produce a piece of art, and piece of art is a self-expression, you don't consider it racy, you don't consider it offended. You cannot be offended by, if you go into the museum and you look at the drawing or you look at the picture and you look, oh my God, this is racy, or it's not, you cannot be offended by a piece of art. So, this is not a campaign that we followed up. You haven't seen us constantly pushing this message. The famous artist, who is a very famous photographer, asked us to take this bike and to create the scene that he wanted to create. That's all. So it's not a consistent marketing campaign with a naked woman and the bike doing this thing constantly. You see us following it up. No, it's a one YouTube video that he created. And again, why not? If you right now walk into airport, you go and you see there are a lot of women in the underwear all the way through. Nobody says it's racy. Nobody says it's bad. you know, to just pick it up on something like this, I believe it's a bit of hypocritical.
Well, it's interesting because art's supposed to create an emotion in the person that sees the piece, whether it's a sculpture or a painting or a video like this. I mean, I know what, you know, emotions that was stirring to me as a man. Um, I don't know if that is the appropriate, let's say, time, and maybe this is something that's different from the U.S. market to the European market. But that was right in the middle or on the tail end of the Me Too movement here, and we're having a growing, social consciousness of gender inequality. Um, is that something that's going to be like a struggle for MV as it gets bigger and pushes into other markets? Because obviously cultures are going to have different value systems. Like that's not an ad that you could play necessarily in the Middle East or in other countries that are or more socially conservative, is it? Or sorry, not an ad. It's not a video.
This is not an ad; it's a video. It's you've never seen this in ads. You're never gonna see it in ads. It's been done by create. It's a creative project that we align ourselves with. So we're not putting this video. We're not creating an ad out of that. You're not gonna see again the constant flow of the marketing material comes from this video. Regarding the wrong time is the sex, everyone explores it in a different way, from lingerie business to the jewelry business to the car business to anything, to everything. A lot of businesses exploit sex, and there's nothing wrong with this if it's respectful and it's good. It doesn't provoke violence, doesn't provoke anything else. In our case, is an art. It's an art expression. How you criticize art? If you go into museum and you see a picture of Rodin or Renoir that drew naked women, would you say it's a sexist that he did it? No, because it's a piece of art. And in terms of controversy, usually our videos on YouTube are watched 20 or 30,000 times. This video is over 200,000 times.
Does that make it successful?
It makes it noisy. That's all. Does it change customer perception to the brand? I don't believe it. It does. Again, if we were put Super Veloce as a campaign that has that focus, this is one question, and it will never happen. Because again, we are a modern company that need to reflect the reality. But we are not a mass market producer. We can afford to promote the creative expression of director of this video. And I will defend it because it's a freedom of speech at the end of the day.
Looking forward to the day where we can go out and go riding again. I'm wondering, how do you see the market bouncing back? How do you see the motorcycle industry getting back to normal, or is it different now? I mean, obviously we've seen great effects in racing. We've only seen MV Agusta once on the track this year with Moto 2. What do you?
But you also super sport in Australia. We were second. Yes. Listen, I don't know. To be honest, I'm baffled, as probably many of our listeners and you. I don't know what will happen until we have a vaccine. The social distancing will be probably the most important part of our society. Motorcycles provide social distancing.
I see in the comments, Luca was asking if you'll be extending the warranties for the bikes, since people obviously have not been able to go out and ride.
We're extending it for 3 months.
3 months. I also saw someone was asking about the dragster line. How does the dragster line fit into MV Agusta? It's an interesting motorcycle because it's kind of in between segments.
Yeah. Again, it's one of these products that NVIDIA Agusta just spit out of its R&D. It's an incredible bike. It's a street fighter. It's a bike for the urban environment. It has a very comfortable position to ride around town. So it's kind of a mix between the traditional naked and hypermotard. It's an extremely high performance bike. Easy to ride though. And we will continue doing so. But it's a niche product. It's a niche product, and we like it. It's very successful. We'll continue developing it.
Maybe with a 950 or something like that.
Yeah, it will come with 950 for sure.
You said hypermotard. I'm wondering if we'll ever see MV come back with a bike like the Rivale that has that more supermoto long suspension travel sport bike, or is that something that's too niche?
Rivale was one of the most unsuccessful products for August. You know, we did it in the time where hypermotard market went down, and a lot of our dealers end up with a lot of stock of this market of this product for a long time and couldn't sell it, so they lost money with it. And until we see that our competitors are doing successfully products like this, we're not going to experiment like that anymore. We cannot afford it. For me, it's important again to protect our customers. This is the most important. And the actions that the company should take has to be responsible. And this is the thin line in the balance between doing something new and crazy and being responsible. So Rivali right now is not even in the product range so far.
I find that a shame because I like that type of motorcycle, but I can definitely understand the line you have to walk there. Timur, I see
Again,
that.
Yeah,
sorry,
sorry.
go ahead.
No, it just I spoke with dozens of dealers that end up with holding that stock for 2-3 years. This bike, from Japan to United States, and couldn't sell it. That's not good. That's not. We're not a good partner to our dealers, and we're not a good partner to our clients because we're creating something that doesn't make sense. Even if individually, it's a great product. I like it. You like it, but market doesn't. So, we need to behave responsibly.
That's funny you mentioned that because for me, I always find that it's difficult to separate emotion and say business from the motorcycle industry because often they can blur over to each other and get confused, and keeping the path is tough sometimes.
That's one of the most difficult thing because this company's DNA is passion, but it need to be controlled. It need to be tamed. So we're not killing it. Trust me, nobody wants to kill the passion in the Agusta, but it's important that this passion is rational. It's important this passion makes sense.
We're almost out of time, Timur, but I wanted to get to one last question in the chat room. Any plans for an adventure bike? Is this a segment that MV has its eye on? Because it is obviously one that is quite strong, especially here in the US.
Yes. You're the first journalist that answered me this question. I'm telling you, yes, we will come back. We will come out with adventure bike.
Can you tell me some more about that? It'll be an MV though. It won't be a Kajiva.
Won't be Kajiva. Will be MV.
Okay. Well, I think we'll end on a high note. Thank you for your time. I really appreciate you sitting down and chatting with us and taking questions from everyone. Take care in Italy, and hopefully we'll talk soon. And I look forward to riding that Brutale.
Absolutely. So stay safe. I hope this nightmare will finish as soon as possible. We're all here, and let's stay connected and let's stay engaged and ride bikes.
Sounds good. Thanks, Timur. And thank you to everyone that showed up for the chat, and thank you for your questions. And like you said, everyone stay safe.
Have a good weekend.
Bye.